Introducing the iBox squad. We bring the hype and we bring the pain. Throw that 1-2 hook, 1-1-2-1-2, and we set it up with feints. If we get knocked down, then we get back up and more something like Ukraine. We do this something like Usyk. We're separating the real from the fake.
Hello fight fans, welcome. I'm Sandra the Tartan Witch Rees, and I'm here on iBox this evening, and we're just going to go over the WBKB4 fight night in Workington on April 5th. I'm just going to wait. Oh, here we go, because we have a very special guest joining us. I'm just going to add into the call. Perfect. Right. Adding. It is adding now, I do believe. So Seamus Devlin is going to be joining us. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Bosh, how's it going, mate?
How are you doing, pal? You good? I can't see you there, Sandra.
Yeah, I can't see you. I don't know what's going on. Is there something happening with your...
Let me check.
With your... Just, if anybody's watching, comment. Let us know if you can see me, or let me know if you can see Seamus, please. We are just... right, Shannon can see us both.
Right, well, I can't see you.
But I'm like you, I can see myself, but I can't see you. That's crazy.
Jason,
right, let me see.
Jason, can you see us both as well, kiddo? See Jason Heseltine's watching.
And he can see as well. Oh, let me just sort out my camera a wee bit. There we go.
See us both.
Yeah, Shannon can see us both. I don't know what has gone on there, mate.
Strange.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, he can see us both as well, can Jason? So I don't know what's going on. It's got to be something on our end, that, I presume.
Okay, right, mate. Well, I mean, it's harder because I can't see or that, but shall we just get on with it?
Yeah, we'll let it roll.
Yeah.
As long as everybody watching can see us both. But yeah, it's strange. I'm talking to a black screen. I've got the emerald green theme going on here.
Well, I've got a lovely little house plant in the background there, and then Mike Tyson. Tim won a famous artist. He's quite famous around here. We know him quite well. He's done a Mike Tyson that is actually completely painted, but you can't see it, mate, so I don't know why I'm showing you.
Contrast. Yeah, I'm looking at myself here because I'm like, otherwise I'm just looking at a pitch black screen. But let's roll with it, mate. Let's roll with it. As long as they can see us. Arlene Robinson.
So I'll let you introduce yourself, Seamus.
I'm Seamus, the Celtic Cobra Devlin, ex-professional boxer, podcaster, and currently ranked number 5 with BKB, bare knuckle boxing. Bosh.
Nice one, mate. And everybody should hopefully know who I am. I'm Sandra the Tartan Witch Rees. I am a tarot card and astrologist, and I'm also a bare knuckle fighter.
Boom.
On the WBKB4 show. Bosh! I hope that's not trademarked.
Same, yeah. Can you trademark a word?
No, I don't know if you can. You know,
It's a grey area, mate. We'll have to at least give props to Big John when we shout it out. Bosh.
So looking back on Saturday, mate. Wow.
That was something else. That was something else. First things first, before we get on to any of the fights, the show itself, it still had that. Do you know that when you go into that tent, the way it is, the setting, the smoky look, the atmosphere, it still had that old school feel to it, but with all the level of professionalism that you need. The infrastructure was sound. Everyone involved, Kelly, Kev, Gillette, they're all doing the job, and they're doing it to the best of their ability. And you can see that it shows. That show was top notch. They're building a brand. You can tell when a promoter's trying to do a wee cash and grab, or he's trying to get a bit of tax-free money. Yeah. You know, he's doing a show and he's cutting corners. You can just tell that was spot on. That in every single way, it was spot on from start to finish. I think it was very well run, and I think that they're building a really solid promotion there. It's spot on.
I agree, Seamus. I agree. I mean, I've gone to many different kind of fight shows and things, but there's nothing quite like the atmosphere of the WBKB.
Oh, it was something else. It was class. Like I said, still that old school feel to it, but
Yeah,
very well run.
I would say like that's definitely what you said. I feel like it's got that professional promotion. You go in, you know it's a professional outfit, but you still have got that raw, that, you know what I mean, the rawness to it. It's not too, you know, formed out, like formed. It's kept nice and raw, and there is elements to it that's you know, that's not been ground down, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. It's do you know? I think like that. There's a few like there's only one promotion that's kept the old Marks of Queensberry rules, so to speak. Do you know, with the old standing 8 count and there's no clinching and stuff like that. But I do like that the fact they've implemented the clinching and
Yeah.
stuff, so it appeals much. A lot of people, if you look, especially a few years back when it started to come to fruition, a lot of guys started coming from the MMA. So it's kind of good that they've blended it and made that hybrid, so to speak, so that they've got the clinching now, because it appeals to a lot of different fighters. But it can make the fights a bit scrappier at times. It just depends on the two fighters in there. But what a night, what a show. I mean that Sam Blakesley and Sip Lee, the butcher, like that was something else. That was just something else.
I swear, as I sat ringside to that fight, I just knew that I was like in a moment of like history being made, and especially like one of the best bare knuckle fights I think I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, it was fight of the year candidate. Was that fight of the year candidate? There's been a lot. Obviously, I've seen a lot of bare knuckle fights, so off the top of my head, I can think of some absolute barnstormers, but it's up there. It was absolutely, it was a belting fight. That I was a little bit wounded because I wasn't actually there, so I was in the hotel at that point because we were keeping Chris nice and chilled, away from the noise, you know, that, away from any distractions. So, but we were watching it on the pay-per-view. And man, it was unbelievable, that fight. But a part of me wished I would have been there, because the atmosphere would have been electric, I can imagine.
And I mean, not only was like it was a completely stacked card, but they had Aggie Faulkner, they had Matty Hill, Mad Dog, they had Gary Fox, they had David Round, they had so many special guests.
Danny Christie was refereeing. Yeah, there was
and Andy Walsh were referees. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a class event, and I think they've got better and better. I've had the privilege of being at previous shows, and I think the only one I haven't been to was the first one, if I'm not mistaken. That was the fourth, am I correct?
Yes, that was the fourth.
That was the fourth. So the only one I haven't been to was the one that Corey won.
Okay.
The British cruiserweight title on against Russell. Russell, I can't remember his last name.
Second one, I'm sure.
No, I think that.
If I'm wrong, Kelly is in the comments. Hello, Kelly. We love you also. Yeah, I'm sure that was the second show. I'm the same as you. I've only been to the third show and the fourth show, and then the fifth show is incoming. Obviously, we're having that cool down period, so we can't talk too much about that at the minute. But go into these fights. The first fight that kicked everything off on the night, Gary Plummer vs Danny Robinson. What did you think?
So sorry there, Sandra. I hope you're well, Kelly. It's Russell Burns, and it was the first show, so I'm correct. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Kelly, she was absolutely unbelievable, all over the place. The wind between the sails is that show, but everyone plays the part behind the scenes. You can tell that, but they're building a brand there. I mean, even those that little touch of class when you go into them changing rooms, how well kept it was. The little basket there with the fruit bowl and the water and the shirts with the sponsors on. They had a touch of class throughout from start to finish. And I've seen many shows, many shows. And they were up there. It was top class. It was something else. But which was the first fight that kicked it off? Back to what you were saying now, Sandra. Which was the first fight?
Gary Plummer vs Danny Robinson. Gary in the red corner. Danny was in the blue corner. It was a fantastic fight.
Oh, mate, do you know? I think I might have missed that.
Oh.
I think I might have missed that because we had a little bit of trouble at first getting it on, and when we got it on, I think I started watching it from the second fight onwards. I think I'm sure I might have missed that. I'll have to go back and watch that fight.
the first fight was really, really good, Seamus. Both men came to fight. Both men met in the middle. Gary Plummer was knocked down in the first round. He was a little bit gassed. Danny Robinson was very, very powerful. He was very, very patient. He was picking off his shots very well. And into the second round, both men were really connecting with big shots as well. Plummer was knocked down again. I think 3 times Plummer got knocked down in the second, and then in the third round it was a stoppage for Danny Robinson. He took the stoppage, third round TKO.
Well, you know, if it's going to the third round, it was a tasty one, because like not many, you know, with bare knuckle, not many go to the third and fourth rounds.
Yeah, well, I think
you could hear them shots. Some of them, like you could hear them shots going in, born on born. Good evening, Jack lad. You could hear them shots going in, born on born, and it's ruthless. It is ruthless. And some of them big fellas, when they're trading, it's frightening.
Yeah, you can hear the smack from the side.
Oh man, it sounds like a baseball bat hitting a curb. It is a ruthless sport, but like I say, it's come out of the dark ages now. But what I loved about that, like I say, it still had that old, not rustic, that's not the right word. It had that old smoky look to it, old school. It had that fear, that atmosphere, but
like
it delivered in every way.
Yeah.
And Sam Peel, I think he's one to watch as well. Maybe keep your eyes out for him. Is it Sam Peel? I think he's one to watch.
Well,
I think he could definitely get straps.
Yeah, he's definitely a big puncher. He's got a lot of power behind him, and he's very good boxer as well. Like, he had very good boxing technique. Both Gary and Danny were both debuting as well, so they done very good on the first debut for their first debut fight. What about, did you watch the Nathan Beatsmore and Jimmy the Tank Wilson fight?
Nathan Beatsmore, Jimmy the Tank Wilson. Was that the second fight?
Was the second fight, yeah.
That was the second fight. That's when we started watching the pay-per-view. That's when we started watching the pay-per-view. That was a stoppage as well, I believe.
Yes, it was. Actually, no, it wasn't a stoppage. It went all the way. And yeah, it went all the way. Beatsmore won on a unanimous decision. But to be fair, he scored and won every round anyway. There was big exchanges from Nathan and both Jimmy in the first. Nathan was always on the front foot. Jimmy was a bit more on the back foot, wasn't he? He was having to be careful, pick his shots better. But I noticed a big difference in Jimmy the Tank Wilson from his last fight as well, technically, and just even his patience. He wasn't just throwing himself in there.
Yeah, there was a couple of them. What gym is he from, Wilson?
He trains at the Lions gym, the Lions Den gym.
Because there was a couple you could see from the previous shows that had improved. You could see they'd neatened up a little bit, the technique. I know you'll get onto that fight after. Was it Phil Flavel, was it?
Yes.
Phil Flavel, yeah, you could see he'd improved. He got better.
They were the third fight well, bar really saying that Jimmy got knocked down and just kept getting back up. It was a really, really good fight, really good debut from Nathan Beatsmore. Danny Christie had to step in a couple of times and tell him, just be careful, because when Jimmy was going down, because of Nathan's inexperience, obviously, you know what it's like.
He was
a lot of
hitting him on, was it? He caught him a couple of times, didn't he, on the on the floor?
Got him when he was on the canvas, yeah. But
I remember it now. It was a couple of times. Yeah, it was a couple of times that occurred, and Danny did pull him, did he? But I think the first time he did it, I think he'd already committed to the shot, to the combination. So, but then I think the second time round, it's like, you know, you'd be aware of it. But I think it's because they're worried a counter's going to come back over the top. So they're just making sure they're putting that third and fourth shot in. But yeah, I remember that now clearly.
Yeah, and Tim's just saying in the comments, the sound of Lewis Bragg's punch. Yeah, and Lewis is saying, yes, brother, 100%. Sam Peel and Lewis Bragg, when their shots were landing, I was like, ooh, it was that noise. Moving on to... Sorry, mate.
Go on. No, you're all right. I was going to say about Lewis Bragg. He's a strong kid, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a strong kid, mate. He's definitely going to do well in the bare knuckle world.
100%.
Now, going on to your favourite fight, or one of your favourite fights, Matt Sutton vs Phil Flavelle.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I thought that was decent, you know. The Savage, you got to love him, ain't you? Bless him. You got to love him. What a guy. But he showed a lot of heart there, a lot of resilience. There was a couple of big overhands that went in that made him go back. I thought that he was going, my analysis of that, he was going back in straight lines. I saw that quite often, do you know, people going back in straight lines. And I think that was his problem. As soon as a big overhand had come, he would become reactive and he wouldn't respond to it and slip and counter it, and he'd move back in straight lines, and then before you know it, he was in a corner and he was shelling up. But he showed a lot of heart and resilience to come back, keep getting up and having a go. He was trying to work that jab.
Yeah.
He was just falling short with it. He was just falling short with it. I think he had a bit too much weight on his back leg sometimes, but things to work on. But Phil, he's a strong guy. And you could see them shots coming over the top, and I think it was just a little bit too much for him, but he ticked a few boxes. He showed some heart, did Sutton. He'll come again.
Yeah, the Savage, I definitely have to agree. He definitely showed heart. He got knocked down a few times, but he just got back up. He did get some good body shots in.
He landed a couple of I think it was a couple of right hooks to the body.
Yes,
you picked up on that on the commentary as well. But I could see to no avail. They weren't having much of an effect. He wasn't getting enough upper body rotation. He wasn't getting enough twist of the hip into the shot. So there was a bit, they were bit arm punchy, but he like I said, things to work, and he'll come again, the lad. He'll come again. He showed a lot of heart and a lot of resilience. But Phil Flavelle, maybe one to watch if he stays in the gym, Phil, and he's in a good gym from what I can see.
Yes.
The guy, what's his name again? Top guy. Met him there. That's the first time I'd met him, I believe. Rolo. Yeah. Is it Rolo? What a guy! Shout out to Rolo. Yeah. Very sincere guy, gentleman. But obviously knows a thing or two, and he runs that gym, and I think Flavelle's from that gym if I'm not mistaken, but he's in good hands, so I'll keep an eye on his career as well going forward.
No, and what you said, I definitely noticed a massive difference in both men, because both men did fight on the WBKB4 show with Matt Sutton taking on the Cutter, and Phil Flavelle took on, who was it again? I can't remember, but I'm sure
I've slept since then. It's hard sometimes to remember, but if I search my memory banks, it'll probably crop up 2 minutes into this, 2 minutes after this, it'll crop up.
They came on leaps and bounds, and like you said, Phil is a very, very strong contender. He's got a lot of power in those punches. Yeah. And Matt done really,
very
really well.
That was his second one, weren't it? I believe that was his second.
That was
he looked very, very. Who was it that he fought? He looked quite raw, didn't he? Obviously, he's still a novice, but he looked quite raw in the first one. You could see that he'd put a camp in for that. He'd put preparation in for that. You could see.
And he lost a lot of weight. He's come down a lot of weight as well.
I believe so.
Matt done well with keeping him off with the jab, I felt like, because I feel like he would have got a lot bigger shots in there if Matt hadn't kept popping out that jab and kind of keeping him at bay. Because like I said, when he came in with the heavy shots, it was kind of, that was it.
Yeah, the problem was when he was closing the dead space, the double jab, then he would take a step back, so the initiative had gone. When you close the dead space, then you need to get into an advantageous position using transitional footwork. It's just something you need to drill. Yeah. It's drills, mate. You need to drill. It's not, if you're thinking about it, then you're a second behind. It has to be second nature. You have to do it without even thinking, and that comes in the gym from doing it constantly, repetitively, so the brain and the body are in unison. Otherwise, your head's right in a check, your body's not going to cash it. Bash.
Yes, 100% in agreement there. And then moving on to the next fight, which was Will Brand and Ben Forsterer. Forsterer. What did you think of that? I felt like that was quite a scrappy fight.
That was it was very, very scrappy, and was that the one I think it was quite a bloody affair as well, weren't it?
No, it didn't. It actually didn't get too bad between them. I think there was.
Oh no, sorry, I know which one now. I was going a few fights ahead there to the two older gentlemen. That was quite a scrappy one.
Yeah,
I was jumping a few fights ahead. Yeah, I know which fight you mean now. It was quite scrappy, that.
they both came out very fast paced.
Yeah, yeah, you
Brand
could
was
tell that
holding
Danny had his
on.
work cut out on that
Yeah,
one. I thought they come out the traps pretty quick.
yes, it was very scrappy. There was a lot of kind of just throwing and jumping in at one another. There was not much clinch either. When they were clinching, you could tell the inexperience because
Being
there wasn't much clinch work.
nothing going on. Yeah, there was
Yeah,
nothing going. It's a hard one because you have to separate them. If there's nothing
yeah,
going on, they need to work the way out. Like a lot of them, I don't think they know, they're not experienced enough in that situation, that scenario. Like I said, it comes back to drilling. If you're not in that scenario in the gym, you'll be acting on a reflex. Instincts will start kicking in. But
Richard
yeah, like I say,
Hodgson.
they're hard ones to referee them. Don't envy the referee's job on them. There was a couple like that. Like I say, we'll get to that fight down the line. Another one that was
Yeah.
like that. But
Well,
this is where the clinching is. This is where the clinching will be like detrimental in certain
yeah,
fights. It can cause fights to end up like that, very scrappy.
no, 100%, mate. And with that fight, it ended in the second round.
Second round, that's correct.
Forster came and took the second round TKO. So he got a technical knockout in the second. Because he did come out in the second, Brand went down. He was knocked down. Forster was he was dominating the fight. And then he got a TKO in the second round.
Gosh.
Now moving on to fight of the night, or who most people's pick of fight of the night was Martin the Cutter Smith. In the second, because he did come out in the second. Brand went down. He was knocked down. Forster was he was dominating the fight, and then he got a TKO in the second round.
Gosh.
Now moving on to fight of the night, or who most people's pick of fight of the night was Martin the Cutter Smith and Sam Blakesley.
Oh, mate, something else. Blakesley started fast in it, and I think if he could have sustained, and there was reasons for that he went into himself. If he could have sustained that head movement, staying low, staying awkward, he was coming up. After coming low, he'd come up with the hooks. He was quite elusive to start, and he had a high energy. He started at a high pace, and I think he struggled to sustain that. And once Martin had started to establish that jab, but also what I loved was he would jab and then he would circle off. It was one of very few people I've seen using lateral movement that night and using ring generalship. He used the ring and the space very, very well. He boxed really well. He boxed out of his skin to come back. He got dropped twice. Is that correct?
He got So in the first round, he got knocked down 2 times.
Right, he got dropped 3 times, didn't he?
Yeah, I got knocked down 3 times, but one was put as a slip, and
Right.
Sam got knocked down 2 times. But Sam was he was fine. He kind of bounced back up, bar the split lip and the kind of mark on his eye. He was fine. Cutter though, when he got knocked down, his legs went. I actually was really surprised that he could get back up.
Yeah, he was. There was a couple of shots that went in there, and a couple of times where I thought, you know what, the writing's on the wall here. Do you know it's on the wall? But both men just like seem to cling on to dear life, and it was that. I love it when the recipe's right and you put 2 fighters together, and they want it, and it's well matched, and the circumstances and the variables are right. That's what you get, an absolute war. But both
100%.
men wanted it. Both men wanted it. You could see that.
Yeah.
But to come back from getting knocked down several times, but they give an absolute show, and to go the distance as well. 5, is that correct? So I'm a little bit tired, me, so I can't remember. It's been a long day, but it was 5 rounds, weren't it?
It went the entire 5 rounds. Me and David Round actually joked around the 3rd round, I think it was, like, oh, if this goes 5 rounds, he's like, I hope it does. And I said, yeah, could you imagine the kind of the madness of the 5 rounds if we make it to the end of 5 rounds? And we did. They did.
And then the end result was that, well, everybody seen Sam Blakesley's face, didn't they, as well?
Yes, and this is it. I've heard there's been a bit of controversial opinions on that fight, and it's because I think Cutter got put down so much in the first round, and then
Sure.
Cutter got put down again in the second round. He actually got knocked down twice or three times in the second round. It was twice in the first, three times in the second. And
So,
Sam didn't get knocked down at all in the second. So really, it was a draw the first round. Second round, I would have given to Sam. Third round, no knockdowns. Fourth round, no knockdowns. And again, fifth round, no knockdowns. They were just, by that point, punching the shit out of each other.
yeah, it depends how you're scoring it as well, doesn't it? But is it the 10-9 more scoring system? You know, if you're knocked down a few times in a round, it's 10-8 or arguably 10-7, depends if you've been dominated. But yeah, again, don't envy the job of scoring, but sometimes it's quite clear cut. When you look at it, like I say, I'm not going to give my opinion one way or the other, but sometimes it's clear cut. But in certain fights, you look and you're like, well, I don't envy the judges on this one.
Yeah.
But sometimes you look at it and you go, I don't know, it went that way. But they're objective, aren't they? They're subjective. They're objective rounds. You look at something and you say, well, I'm looking for this, or I might be looking for that. I might be looking for the purist, slipping, rolling, making and miss, slipping, significant strikes.
Yeah.
Some people might be looking for volume, going forward, effective aggression. It just depends. But what a fight anyway. Back to the fact, it was something else that it really was. It stole the show. It stole the show. But I believe if that fight wasn't on that card, I believe that my boy would have stole the show in that one.
Yeah, 100%. I agree 100%. I do feel like it was one of the, like you said, best shows, best fights of the year. And I'm in agreement with you. I think Cutter done really well at keeping the distance, using his jab, picking Sam off.
Yeah, like Jack just said in the comments, sorry, Sandra, just want to get to the best bare knuckle event I've ever been to by a long way too. Well done to Kevin Thompson. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Jack, lateral movement from Sip Ali was the difference. Showed some real heart, did Cutter. He did. He was something else when he bounced back up. This is Shannon. It was just before the bell every time. Yeah, it was something else. It was class.
And like I say, he was really good at the lateral movement, using the ring to his advantage. And Sam was really good at slipping, sliding, landing heavy shots. But like you said, it just came to be that Sam took on a bit more damage on the face. And by the end of the fight, the Cutter was coming back. You could tell he was focused. He had lots still in the tank, whereas Sam was struggling a bit with gassing out.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? It is one of them fights that could have gone either way, but you don't really want to argue with the Brazil, do you? You couldn't really. It was one of them where no one should have gone away a loser in that, and I don't think anyone did in terms of the stock going up. But what a fight! What an absolute fight! What a pleasure to watch. But I like I say, I was back in the hotel room keeping Chris nice and cool. I think it was in a cold bath at one point, but yeah.
I'm excited to get on to him because he was the co-main event, and what a debut for Chris as well. He done so well. Now going on to the next fight, which I think was the fight you were referring to earlier with James Robinson and Ryan Bates, the bloodbath. We'll call it the bloodbath because that's what it was.
Yeah, it was, and it was very, very scrappy as well. But listen, it was entertaining in its own right, weren't it? Do you know, both men still went out there and still put on. And did that go the distance? I'm sure that. No, he stopped him. Did he stop him right at the end?
That got stopped in the third. It got stopped on the third round.
That's correct. That's correct. And it was a very, very bloody one. But I think that was both their first bare knuckle fights. I know it was definitely one of them fellas' debuts, but fair play to him, but it was very, very scrappy, weren't it? It was a scrappy affair.
It was a scrappy fight. That was a little bit less technical there. There was a lot of clinch work. James Robinson done so well in the clinch. I think that's where he done a lot of his work, was in the clinch as well. Ryan Bates just couldn't get away from him when he got him in that clinch. He got some really good uppercuts in there. And then the forehead of Ryan Bates split open. And from that point, it was carnage. It was just blood spraying everywhere.
Over the place, People love to see it though, don't they?
At one point, I had to stop, put my microphone from the commentary down and like wipe my forehead because I felt it spray. And I was
Oh
like,
no.
oh.
Oh man, ruthless, proper primitive, ruthless. But yeah, that's what people want to see. Some people turn into vampires, don't they? As
Yeah,
soon as they see a bit of blood, they absolutely love it. But that's what separates bare knuckle from the gloved, I suppose. It's like walking that tightrope without the net underneath you, innit? Bash.
100%. And I agree with Kelly Thompson. If no losers with the Sam Blakesley and Martin Smith fight at all, both. Just what a statement from both men.
100%, Kelly. 100% agree there. No losers whatsoever. You couldn't call anyone a loser in that affair, could you? That was something else that raises both their stock, and it reflects well on the promotion as well. Yeah, it was outstanding. But yeah, back to the other one, that was a scrappy affair, but both men still displayed heart, didn't they? Heart and guts, and that's all you can ask. They go out there and they try the best. Like I say, it was entertaining in its own right, that fight.
Yeah, it was very, very entertaining. The fact that they took it into the third round, and like I say, so much blood there. Now going on to one of your other favourites, and Sam Peel vs Carl
Yeah.
Wood. Another good fight.
Yeah, well, I seen the fellow who was in our changing room, the lad that fought Sam Peel.
Okay.
And he looked sharp. You know, he looked sharp. I seen him warming up. Good shot variety. Looked like he was quite precise. I was looking. I know the pads is a lot different, obviously, way different. You see people that look aesthetically pleasing, good combos on the pads, and when they get in there, they fall to pieces.
Yeah.
But he looked pretty sharp, this kid. I'm not saying that's what he did, but when he got in there, I was expecting a bit more from him.
Okay.
But Sam Peel just shut him down pretty quick, didn't he? You can tell he's a strong lad.
Carl,
He's a strong lad.
He came out fast. He came out ready and raring to fight. He came out very fast and tried to stick it on Sam Peel, but
we
Sam
met him
was
in the middle, didn't it?
good. Yeah. Yeah, Sam was really, really good. Sam, you just heard that shot. It was a knockout, well, a TKO in the first round. And it happened
a good shot, well timed.
Very, very well timed, very accurate. And I think you'd heard the shot. I heard the shot. It would have picked it up over the pay-per-view. And I think Carl Wade I think he got a bit of a shock of the power of Sam Peel because, like you said, that boy packs a punch.
If you've not done bare knuckle before as well, it is a shock to the system.
Yeah.
It is a shock. I remember the first time I got hit clean in my debut with a bare knuckle shot, and I thought, hey up, this is real. Yeah, this is raw. But it can be a shock, especially with someone hitting you like that. I mean, Sam Peel he's a big, strong lad. You can see that. And when he hits you, you're staying hit.
Yeah, you're going to get hurt if he connects, 100%.
100%.
So we never really got to see much of both men for that fight because it was a quick ender due to the heavy hands of Sam Peel in the first round. But Carl Wade does say that he'll be coming back. He's going to rest up and he's going to be coming back, I think, to try again with bare knuckle. Now, going on to Lewis Bragg vs Nath Pierce. What did you think of that, Seamus?
That was over pretty fast. That was over pretty quick. I kind of half expected that as well. He's another one that's really strong. I think if they come from a rugby background, I think Sam Peel's the same. If they come from a rugby background, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm sure Sam does come from a rugby background, and I know I'm sure Lewis is the same because they're both from
big strong lad. Ended that pretty fast, didn't he? That was another one that had a little bit of controversy, weren't it? I think the fellow was saying he got hit around the back of the head.
Yes, he went down and then he kept saying like he hit me on the back of the head. But from what I've seen,
did you make of that? I want to say from your perspective.
From my perspective, I'll be really honest. I felt like Nath Pierce felt Lewis Bragg's power, and then he just didn't want it. Didn't want it.
Yeah. Calling a spade, I'd say, like, without being disrespectful. I thought the same. He said
And
he
I
hit on the
mean,
back of his head. I looked at the back of his head and didn't see. I don't like to be disrespectful, but I looked at the back of his head. There was nothing on the back of his head. Now,
and
if someone
for
like Lewis
him,
Bragg hits you on the back of the head,
you,
there's going to be a sign. You'd be
yeah,
wearing that. You'd be wearing that physicality all over your back of your head, wouldn't you?
yeah.
That's my personal opinion. He seemed a little bit too switched on and chirpy to say he'd been cracked in the back of the head.
Well,
But
from
again,
what I've seen, it looked like the ear, just behind the ear, below the temple. It looked like around that spot that he got hit. And like I say, he turned up. Not many people will turn up, he
yeah, got to
stepped
give him
in there.
respect. Got to give him that respect, mate. I think.
Yeah,
Listen, I think a few people can say they've been there. Do you know where their heart's not quite been in it? Do you know
yeah,
they're not quite there in spirit. They might be present there in person, but they're not there. They're not in the moment. And I think that sometimes it's just a strong gust of wind or a little cheap clip will send them on the way. But yeah, he got rid of him in quick fashion,
yeah.
didn't he? By keeping an
Think,
eye out for Lewis Bragg.
yeah,
Bash.
definitely, I think keep an eye out for Lewis Bragg. He's a big hitter, and he brings a crowd as well. And like I say, I feel like Nath Pierce, he just didn't have, like you said, maybe the heart that night, or he felt Lewis's power and he thought, I'm not having any of that.
Yeah, yes. Like I said, it's kind of speculative, but if you slow it down, you probably see where the shot made a connection. But I don't like to speculate too much. He knows than himself, but he got clipped. I think he felt the power, and yeah, he didn't want
Yeah.
to be in there.
And then it was finished. So that was another first round TKO. Now moving on to the co-main event,
Ooh,
which was Grant Hopkin vs Chris Carroll.
yeah,
Yeah, what a great debut for Carroll.
yeah. Sorry, mate. I was just reading some of the comments there. At the bottom, Kevin's laughing. He
I
says
was laughing before I seen Kev was laughing.
yeah, I
Definitely
love
agree.
Kev. He's mint that. What's not to love about them guys? They're just class,
You know
so
what?
approachable, so accommodating,
100%.
so approachable, so hospitable. Everything, and like you can just tell they care. Like I said, they're building a brand there. That's not just a cash and grab. That they're building a brand. They're the production value from the
They
weigh-ins
truly
right through to the
care as
show.
well. They
Everything.
truly care about their fighters. Like even after I fought on their show, Kev and Kelly were still dropping me messages weeks down the line, checking in with me, checking in with the family, making sure we were good. Um, you know, some people do this for money, and then some people do it for the experience. And those guys really are doing it for the experience and
Yeah.
and with
Look how they
young
treat. Look how they
fighters.
treat Jack. Look how they treat Chris afterwards. And Kelly went to go and find him,
Yeah,
to go and see how he was and speak to him. Do you know what I mean? Look, just little touches like that of sincerity. They go a long way with people like us. And it was just mint. Listen, you can be sincere all you want, but you have to be able to run a show professionally. The infrastructure has to be sound, and them guys have got that going. You can see that a mile off. They've got something going there really special. Um, yeah, they'll be like I say. A lot of the little promotions now are feeders to the bigger promotions, so they lack sometimes a little bit of an edge, but they've definitely got that edge. But yeah, back to Chris Carroll.
100%.
What a guy. Middleton's finest. Shout out to Chris
Yeah,
Carroll. Me and Jack had a top weekend. Me, Jack, and Chris. Yourself as well. We spent the weekend with you
yeah,
guys. iBox. Shout out iBox. Boom. It was just class, mate, from start to finish. And Chris did me so proud. We rolled the dice there. I told him, listen, we're rolling the dice. This is kind of David and Goliath. We're giving weight away. But I knew the ability and the heart of this man. I knew he'd have enough savvy about him, and he showed. It showed. I
oh
said
yeah,
this. There was no way he was going in there and getting blown out of there. That was never going to happen. But I said, we have to give this man respect. He's 8 or 9 kilograms heavier. He's a big guy. He's quite raw, but he's had a full camp. He's put the work in, and he's coming in there without any gloves on, and he's throwing digs at you. So we're realists. It was an
yeah,
ask, but man, did he do us proud. He put him on the seat of his pants in the third, and just didn't pounce on him. I was like, just get on him, just get on him. Do you know, he just held his feet. I think he was worried about blowing out, and because obviously he was still kind of like semi-fainting, half fainting was Grant, but I could see the legs were unsteady. So I was like, through my experience as well, I would have been, I'd have been on him, the top. But
yeah,
spilt milk, he knows it himself, Chris. He could have probably had him out of there and should have had him out of there, but he didn't, and he ticked a lot of boxes as well. And what's not to like about that guy? Forget the antics at the weigh-in, mate. That was all.
yeah,
And you were
yeah,
spot on what you said, Sandra. he did that to drum up a bit of animosity where there was none, so he could go in that ring and get a job done, so he could have a bit of disdain towards that guy.
Well,
So
this is it.
fair
This
play
is
to
it.
him.
Not all people, you know, can just go in and punch someone, especially if they like the look of the person or they get on with them. They need to cause that animosity. They need to, you know, like just cause a bit of trouble before it, get everything pumping, get the blood pumping. So then when they're in there, they don't mind punching you in your face because, you know, that animosity is there, that energy's there. But I agree, mate. I think Chris absolutely, he smashed it. He smashed his debut. He was so good at being patient. You know, he didn't let Grant bully him around the ring. Grant did try. And by the end of those 5 rounds, Chris had completely gained Grant's respect as well. You could see it through the fight as
100%.
the fight progressed, as the rounds had gone on, that Grant was recognising the talent in this young man.
Yeah, you know, like I said, the respect, and he came over after and explained about why he did that, and that meant a lot because he could have just kept his distance and gone off into distance and gone about with his night, but he didn't. He came over, like I say, full of gentlemen. This game, there's an exception for everyone. Like I say, there's always going to be good and bad in every walk of life, in every field, in every sport. But generally speaking, 95% of people in the game are gentlemen. They really are gentlemen. But
100%.
them two, they put on a show. They put on a show. What a co-main event.
Yeah, what a cool main event. You just took the words right out my mouth. It went the full 5 rounds, and it was a very, very interesting fight. Grant used his experience in the ring and his experience of his grappling with his MMA or
Yeah.
in the ring. And like you said, I'm really excited to see where and what, you know, where this takes Chris Carroll. He was an unbelievable fighter. And he was an unbelievable personality as well. It was fantastic spending the weekend with yourself, Jack, and Chris.
Yeah, we've made a friend for life there. You can just tell, can't you? Do you know what I mean? And like you'd have thought that me and Chris would have known each other for years.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
I thought
Probably the same with me and Jack. When you see me and
yeah,
Jack, or me, Chris, me and Jack, you probably see, you know, like we've known each other for years, but that's not the case. Some people just gel, don't they? But yeah, and I'm guessing you're going to get onto the main event now. Bash.
So the main event does ask you between Baha or because I'm terrible for trying to pronounce names and I don't want to get it wrong. Can you pronounce his name?
Was it Kudratov?
That's it. Yes, good man, Kudratov.
I'm not unsure. C55 Pro fights have come out with my faculties intact.
Yes,
Can't remember what I did yesterday though, but gosh, but yeah, Kudratov versus Askew. But I'm gonna be again. It's spade a spade time. In it, listen, I have to be honest with myself, so you know, you have to be honest outward as well as inward, and
that is why I brought you on here as well, because you are very good at the analytics. A spade's a spade, and you just say it how it is, mate, and that's what people love about you as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it just I was disappointed, if I'm being honest. I was disappointed, but I like something that Darren said at the end, where he said, "This doesn't change anything in my life." And fair fucks to you, mate. Excuse my French, but fair fucks to you, pal. Do you know what I mean? If it didn't mean that much to you, do you know what I mean? And it's not going to change anything in your life, then fair enough. But to me, it would have meant enough to me. It would have. Yeah, I would have lost sleep at night. Do you know? I'd have had to have gone in there and at least. I don't want to be disrespectful. I want to tread carefully in what I'm saying, so I've got a lot of respect for that man and what he's done in boxing. Bare knuckles a completely different sport, and I think he found that out.
Yes.
People say,
that's
boxing.
what I was just about to say. I think what it is it is one thing transitioning from, you know, your boxing skills and taking those skills over to the bare knuckle, but it's another thing taking the gloves off and being punched without gloves on as well.
He wasn't relaxed, Sandra. He wasn't relaxed.
No.
He would walk out. This is just my honest personal opinion. Like I say, nothing but love and respect for that man. I can tell he's such a nice guy, and to come back from what he's come back from, mate. Do you know what I mean? He's had some adverse points, so that was a win itself. I just want to make that clear before I go on giving any honest criticism of any person myself. But I think that he wasn't like you wouldn't have looked at him the way he started on that guy's come from a professional background. You know, he wasn't relaxed. That ring is there. That is a big ring. Relax. use that ring generalship, feint, set stuff up, draw the lead, make him miss, make him look daft. Relax, man. The muscles flow better when you relax. If you're not relaxed, it ain't working, mate. You're gonna be reactive, not responsive.
Yeah.
You want to respond to what the guy's doing, not react to what he's doing. Otherwise, you're burning energy, inefficient, and they both look scrappy. I know that Kudratov looks like the sort of guy who'd be hard to look good against, if I'm being honest. He's quite awkward and tricky. And to come in your first bare knuckle, I think that was a bit off a bit more than he could chew. That's my honest opinion. But that Kudratov, he's one to watch, and him, he's rum, mate. He's rum. He can do it. It's just the kids and the missus shouting in the back, so I've had to sneak off here in my room. It's a madhouse, mate.
Don't worry about it, mate. I think everybody's house is probably the same. I'm really actually surprised my daughter hasn't screamed for me during the live. But I was in agreement. I was a little bit taken back by the kind of main event. I mean, it was still a great fight, like you said, but I felt like Daz he gave up in his corner, or his corner team didn't want him to continue. And whether or not that was because right on the last kind of the klaxon for the 10 seconds of that first round, Baha got him a very, very good shot, overhand, right down the middle, right onto the nose. You actually heard his nose crack.
Yeah, maybe Darren communicated it to his corner. Maybe this in his body language. If the corner team's worth the salt, they'll know from the body language from him in the corner. And it's a tough one, and it's a tough call. It's a tough call, mate. Like I said, I don't want to be too critical of the guy, but I did expect a little bit more of him. I did expect a little bit more of him, but that would be my honest critique.
The fact that he got in there, just stepping in the ring, like you said before, mate, just shows utter balls anyway, balls of steel. But I think as well, it might have been a bit of a surprise. You know, like everybody, you know, Mike Tyson says it best. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. 100%. And I think maybe
he had a long layoff too, didn't he? He had a long layoff. I mean, when I went into my bare knuckle, I'd had quite a long layoff, but it wasn't that long. Do you know what I mean? So I did that many pro fights. I got back in the gym a few weeks and I was firing on all cylinders. I think he had a really long layoff, didn't he, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I think for some time he's not done pro or boxing for
years. That's what I mean. And I think if maybe a different fight, but again, you don't know different variables, but it is what it is.
What you said, he did say that he was coming in just to have a bit of fun. It was something, you know, ticking off something on the bucket list as well. And it maybe actually, you know, hampered his experience or made things maybe worse, because maybe he was expecting it to be very much like a boxing match, or to feel like, you know, a fight like when you're in a boxing fight. And maybe he was out of his comfort zone when he realised, you know, that it isn't the same, that it is a different game.
Well, this is the thing. It's a good thing you touch on there, Sandra, because usually bare knuckle boxing is chess, not checkers. For example, you can throw shots away with the gloves on without fear of breaking your hands because you've got the wraps and the gloves on. If you catch an elbow or a skull, it's not that big a deal. So it's a little bit, it is a little bit different. It's chess, so it's usually slower paced. But some people don't start like that. It's like no middle ground. It's like they start fast or they come out and they feel each other out. But when it's the other end of the scale and they come out fast, I think the boxer doesn't fare as well. Cyrus Rafe didn't twig it during my fight. I didn't let him, to be fair. I used good range management, but he didn't twig it. You know, you got to get scruffy. Don't stand boxing and fencing with a fencer and a boxer. Get scruffy with it. Nullify the reach. Get inside. Sit on his chest and get scrappy with it. You know, you've just got to know how to apply yourself in what scenario, and it comes down to experience and what you've done in your prep for your camp. Quite simple.
And this is it. And sometimes it just comes instinctively to a person, because I feel like for myself that stuff comes like instinctively, and going over, like, I'm quite, like, when it comes to pad work and stuff like that, I can be a bit jibbledy, but when it comes into fight, I feel far more comfortable fighting than when doing pads and things. I feel like it is, like you said, you can't really tell from watching someone on the bag or on the pad or how, you know, they're training, because when you get in there, like you said, there's so many different variables that you have to think about. It's whether or not you have that ring IQ for bare knuckle.
You just said it best there, that what you just said, ring IQ, fight IQ. So it all comes into it, mate. If you don't bother, if you skip the basics and try and jump and skip, you're not getting nowhere. It's simple as that. Technique, shape and form, body mechanics, jab mechanics, obsess, drill, obsess, drill. If you don't do that, I'll see you in a couple of years' time when you fade out. It's that simple. Because the game's
100%.
evolving now. The game's evolving. Look at the guys coming into this now.
Oh,
If you can't, I'm gonna have to pull some of my guys as well. Do you know, at the gym, like, not mentioning names, but like, you know, they just don't want it. They can blag themselves all they want, mate, but they're not blagging me. Do you know, it is what it is. Spin themselves webs all they want, mate, but this game, how bad do you want it? And you get found out. If you don't want it and you're cutting corners, you will get found out. It's that simple. But I'll have to cut this short, Sandra. I don't know if you're coming to the end here, because my missus will be looking at me sideways. Bash! I'll be in the doghouse.
No, to be honest, thank you very, very much for coming on and helping us break down the, you know, the fights and looking at each fight, mate. It was an absolute banger of a show. Every time WBKB do a show, they're just leveling up. I cannot wait for the 5th. I can't wait to see what it brings, who it brings. And yeah, what a night to remember, Seamus, eh?
Indeed, mate. Indeed. Thanks for having me on, pal. Thanks for putting up with me. But a massive shout out to you guys. Just want to say before I go, massive shout out to WBKB. They're an absolute top team, and I look forward to going to the shows in the future. Hopefully, with some basement managed fighters. I'm sure me and Jack will be over there plenty of times in the not too distant future, same as yourself. But massive shout out to Kelly, Gilly, Kev, the top people. Absolutely top people, and what a promotion. Absolute pleasure, the Tartan Witch. Thank you. Celtic Cobra signing out. Boom.
Take care, mate.
God
Thank you,
bless
Seamus.
Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless.
Bye.
Thank you, Seamus. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Oh, what a guy. It was so good to have him on as well, because he's so good at analysing and breaking down fights. He is a coach, and he is a bare knuckle fighter as well. So who better to have on than Seamus Devlin? Now, I do apologise for anybody that was coming on. Was looking forward to David one more round. Unfortunately, David has had to go to work, so he was unable to do the live. And I didn't want to not do it, so I thought, right, who can I grab that will be amazing and really good at breaking down? And Seamus was the man. So yes, gonna check on comments. Did anybody that was there at the show or that's watching, who was your fight of the night? What was your favourite fight and why? Can't believe I've missed this, but I heard Phil in the gym got a shout out. Thank you. Yes, Rolo. Big shout out to you, Phil, and the boys. You could hear Lewis's punches at the back of the room. You really could hear Lewis's punches at the back of the room. We love you both too, Kelly. Yeah, what a show. You guys absolutely smashed it. Cannot wait for the next one. I'm going to give it a minute, see if anyone comments. If not, I am going to shoot off for the night. But yeah, what an unbelievable night. And for anyone else as well, if anyone's watching, we do still have programs available, £5 each, and they can be posted out to you. We were left with quite a bit of these. So if you want something to remember your night from, why not come drop me a message and we can send you one of these out to your home address. It just goes over WBKB. We have a little contents page there. It's like a brief chat with Kev and Gilly. The fight cards, we have got Meet the Ring Girls as well, because Shannon, Rees and Annalise Jeffrey were our ring girls for this evening. There they are, little picture of them both. So yeah, if you would like to purchase one of the programs, don't be shy, drop me a message, and yeah, we will get it sent out to you. It's £5 each, and we've got a few of them left. So, missed the start, but we'll rewatch. Need to know what was said about the tank. Oh, hello, Samantha. We were speaking over the tank. We were saying that he done brilliantly. Nathan was a very hard opponent. And you can just see that he has technically done so much better, and how much he's come on from his last fight, or even to the first fight, for the first fight of the WBKB. Right. It looks like everybody's signing off, so I am going to do the same thing. Huge thank you to Seamus Devlin for coming and going over our fights of the night for the WBKB4 show that took place in Workington on the 5th of April. It was an absolute banger. If you haven't already, jump over to the iBox YouTube and give us a like and follow. All our content and interviews from fighters or organisations will go up on there, as well as Facebook. And yeah, please give this live a like, give it a share. And if you haven't already, head over to the WBKB Facebook and Instagram page. Make sure you give them a like and follow, and also their YouTube page, where all the fights will be put up. So I am Sandra, the Tartan Witch Rees, and I have had a fabulous night breaking down the fights with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and we will catch you all again soon. But yeah, huge shout out to Kev, Gilly and Kelly and the WBKB team. We cannot wait for the next show. God bless. Peace.
Introducing the iBox squad, we bring the hype and we bring the pain. Throw that 1-2, hook 1-1-2-1-2, and we set it up with feints. If we get knocked down, then we get back up, or more something like Ukraine. We do this something like Usyk, we're separating the real from the fake.